So, you've just got into photography and you're bored of these normal looking portraits and you want to do some creative effects to it to upgrade it. Well, how about trying the popular glitch effect? Well, I'll show you exactly how to do that in just 2 steps. First things first, to get the most appealing end result, we need to convert this to black and white. And as with many other things in Photoshop, there are innumerable ways to do it. So you could go to Image Adjustments, Hue Saturation, and take the saturation all the way down, shortcut Control U, or do black and white, and there's just a lot of ways to do it. The reason I choose black and white is because if I want, let's say, I could fine tune each and every color. So if I want the reds to be slightly darker, I could do that. If I want the yellows to be slightly brighter, I could do that. But in this case, I'm just going to leave it at default. Next, I want to duplicate the layer. So I'm going to do that by pressing Ctrl and J. Now that we have a duplicate, double click on the layer and uncheck the red channel. Now, make sure the move tool is selected and move the layer just a bit. As you can see, that's pretty much the glitch effect. And if you want, you could stop here, but I think we could jazz this up a bit more. So we're just going to do that. But first, what if you don't want red and cyan as the colors? Well, let's double click the layer again, bring up the layer styles. What happens if we uncheck the green layer? We get green and magenta. What happens if we uncheck the blue layer? Blue and yellow. Or what if we only have one channel affected, let's say the red channel? Well, it's still red and cyan, so what good does that do us? Well, if you look carefully, where the red is right now, it used to be cyan, and vice versa. Cyan is where red was earlier. See? Damn it. See? Well, so how do you know what colors you're choosing? Well, the opposite of RGB is CMY. So red and cyan is controlled by the red channel. Green and magenta is controlled by the green channel. And blue and yellow is controlled by the blue channel. It's the same as if you were doing RGB curves. If you increase the blue, you move it up. If you want to decrease the blue, you add more yellow. Okay, but how do we jazz this up? Well, I'm going to create a new layer. Go to Filter, Render. Actually, before that, make sure the colors you've selected are black and white, because it does make a difference. So I'm going to click D to reset the colors, or you could click this button. And I'm going to make sure black is my foreground color. You can do this by either clicking this arrow, if white's your foreground color, or by pressing X. Next, I'm going to go to Filter, Render, and then Fibers. And yeah, that looks... This effect normally would be very good for wood grain or just general fiber textures, but we don't want that. We want something else. We want lines, just horizontal lines. So I'm going to turn the variance down, not all the way, it's about 4 or 5, and as you could see, we're getting lines, but they're not horizontal. Unfortunately, in the fibers menu, there's no way to actually change it, but that doesn't really matter. We could just rotate the layer afterwards. I'm also going to turn the strength up, and I might just play around with the variance about a bit. You don't want to go all the way down, because then the effect is very uniform and looks kind of boring. So I'm going to stop about 3. Press OK, and there we go. Next, I'm going to rotate the layer. So like I said, we want it horizontal, because the glitch effect we're doing is horizontal glitch. So rotate that by 90 degrees. And I could either place it here, create another fibers layer with the same effect, or duplicate this one and place it right underneath but instead I'm just going to scale it up. Place it about here. That looks like it'll be fine. And this is the crucial part. And set the blend mode to multiply. You could do color over and darken, etc. But I quite like how multiply does it. Next. Well, you see, you could get rid of all the imperfections before doing this step. It's a lot easier to do it now. So I don't like this red mark here. I'm going to create a layer mask. And just with black as the foreground color. What are you doing? With black as the foreground color. There we go. Just going to casually erase some of the side. And that way I've got exactly what I like and got rid of everything I don't like. Next, finally, we're going to click Ctrl, Shift, Alt, and E to create a stamp visible layer. Select the Marquee tool, shortcut M, and just select random patches. Make sure you select more than just the area you need, because, well, when you move the layer, you can still see underneath it. So to properly solve the glitch effect, you want to select a bit extra, so that when you move it, the underneath is still covered. And we're just going to keep doing that. The shortcut for the move tool is V. Strongly recommend you use the shortcuts because it's a lot less tedious when you do it that way. But I've got custom shortcuts on, so I can't really do that with the Marquee tool. And just randomly make it look like it's tearing apart. And it's best to do it all the way through, just because if you don't go all the way through, it looks like only the face is glitching, and you could sell that effect as well, but it's a lot more convincing if it goes all the way through. I don't want to do all of it. I'm just doing parts because I don't want the body to be very glitchy. I want mainly because it's not the focus. Just minor glitches here and there would sell the effect. Just do that a bit more. Okay, and yeah, that's fine. You could do a bit more if you want, but that's really fine. Do as much or as little as you want. I'm happy with that. And what else could you do to sell the effect? Well, you could come down here to the shape tool. I'm going to select rectangle. I'm going to make sure my foreground color is red. I'm just going to select that by pressing Alt and clicking on the color. Just the same red. And just around here, I'm going to create small. Okay, why is that not? Okay, make sure the fill is on up here, and I don't want any stroke. And that way. We could solve the effect by having extra pieces like this scattered around. So near the red side, I'm just going to have a couple of these. This isn't necessary. I personally don't like them that much. But that's all personal preference. You could add them, sell the effect a bit more. Or if you really don't like them, just don't add them. But that's all personal preference. For sake of tutorial, I'm going to add them. Just so you guys have a general idea of what you can do with this sort of effect. Sorry about that. So as I was saying, you could create these small lines, different size, and it all depends on personal preference. They work, but I just don't like them that much. So I might just end up removing them, but For sake of tutorial, I'll just leave them in there. Make sure the colors do match with the surroundings you are putting them in. And yeah, well, it's a bit lopsided right now. I'm just going to duplicate everything. Move this side as well. Control T, change the size just a bit. And yeah. Definitely make sure to change the color of these to match the surroundings. And just one more. And you could keep going if you want. I'm going to stop there. And now you could work on this image like you normally would, such as you create another stamp visible layer. Control Shift Alt E. You go to Filter, Blur, Motion Blur. Make sure it's horizontally blurred. I'm gonna make sure the angle is 0. Okay, let's try that again. Let's go to Blur, Motion Blur. Increase the distance till you're happy. And as you can see, the more lines you add, the better this part of the effect looks, but that's personal preference. I'm going to create a layer mask and just unblur certain parts which towards the center to get rid of any motion blur there, just to solve the glitch effect. And there we go. And towards the edges I'm just going to add a bit more motion blur. And there you go. There's your glitch effect. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and learnt a lot. If you have any questions, leave them down in the description below. And if you want any more tutorials, just ask away and I'll try to do them quickly. And most importantly, I hope you have a nice day.